welcome. Welcome to today's Board of
Welcome to
Supervisors meeting.
Clown in the Town Television. The first clip you're about to see today is San Bernardino County Supervisor Janice Rutherford Lim trying to justify giving children as young as 2 years old psychotropic medication. Another thing you're going to see is Amber Simon, a little girl put in foster care that was molested by her adopted father, who got 6 months, 1 year probation. Then they put her back in the same house, you know, and then they had this Martinez counseling, Ralph Martinez counseling her after she'd been molested by the guy. Judge Welch is involved, D.A. Limcow, Victor Valley judge who finally quit after causing the death of a small child. Judge Limcow was the DA in the case, and that explains a lot. It's really sad what goes on in San Bernardino County. Hope you enjoy the content.
The speaker is Edwin Thomas Snell, followed by Vicki Loudon.
I was really saddened to hear this morning when I woke up that 126 children were murdered at an Afghan military school by the Taliban.
Pakistan.
That was really heartbreaking in at Christmas time. But I have a parallel here in San Bernardino County. The same thing's happening, but in a different way. And it's under the preview. It's item number 23, Kids for Cash. The FDA does not approve the administration of psychotropic medication on children under 14. And you read your PDR. Now, that's a physician's, you all know what that is, and we all know who FDA is. So please explain to me why we're taking off-labeled psychotropic medications. We're giving them to these babies. You guys, you know, when you give a baby chemicals and the damage it's causing, if you go to Camarillo, by the time these children are out of foster care, they are so damaged and screwed up for life. It's got to stop, and it's got to stop with this right now. It has to stop. You know, Mr. Ramos, I remember when you got elected, your dad, I told him, he swore you in, and that was really a great moment, I think. But I asked him, I said, what does he do what do we do if he gets bad? He said, I got a switch in the back. So I really don't want to call on him, but this is insane. This is Taliban crap here that's going on. You're taking babies, 2 years old, and you're giving them chemicals. You can't do it. That whole foster thing needs to be ripped up by its poisonous roots. Tell me the justification, Cassandra Thomas, of giving a 2-year-old psychotropic medication. Please, answer that question, Mrs. Lim. Please answer that question in God's name for the children. Stop this insanity that's going on, giving babies psychotropic medication. You're not supposed to even give them under 14 years old, and they're giving them to 2-year-olds. My God, that's Taliban crap. You know, and you got 4,600 children under your preview, and you're medicating them. My God, by the time they take 20 or 30 meds, they're up in Camarillo. They're done for their lives. They're through. It's done. You might as well go out and shoot them. You know what we're doing here? Please explain to me the justification for psychotropically medicating 2-year-olds. Are you hearing Mrs. Lim? Miss Rutherford? Miss Rutherford, are you listening to me? Please give me the justification for psychotropically medicating 2-year-old babies and causing them brain damage. Are you with me? Hello, and you want to know why? Josie, have you seen the definition in the dictionary, that B word you threw me out for using? You know, it says malicious. It says spiteful.
That's time.
And it says
Your time is up, Mr.
domineering.
Snell.
And that's what she just did to me. She's
Your
she is
time
that
is
word.
up. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us
Can you
today.
answer that question?
I will. You need to turn his microphone off now. I will refer you back to several meetings ago when we had a presentation about how psychotropic drugs are administered in this county. We're the example in this state of how to do it right. Other counties are looking to us for how many checks and balances we have to make sure that it's done appropriately. No discussion, I'm answering your question.
I got 2 people up here I brought today. I want to speak on 13. You guys aren't going to listen to me, I'll talk to the audience. The situation is, are we listening now? Still not listening. Oh my God. Josie left. I don't blame you, Josie, because what this little girl went through at the age of 5, she was put in foster care. Went to about 20 different homes. At the age of 12, she was adopted out. You need to hear this, Miss Rutherford. You guys, Ovid and Ramos, I'd be hiding your heads too, especially you, Gary Ovid, with the bail bonds issues. We're going to get to that in a minute. They adopted her out at 5. At foster care, they took her at 5. Adopted her out at 12. 20 foster care homes. The abuse she went through was unconscionable. I even cried, Mr. Lovingood. And that takes a lot. I've been beat by 5 men and couldn't cry. But her story brought me to my knees. So, after 5, 20 foster cares, they adopt her out at 12 years old. At 12 years old, the guy molests her. He goes to prison for 16 months. She goes to another 20. And then what happens? He gets out of prison. You know what the county does? You know what the county does? They put her back in the same foster care. Oh my God! This is our elected officials. That's why there is a link between taking these foster children and turning them into sex slaves. Sex slaves. Want a polygrapher? I'll be willing to. I'll pay for it. I even call a polygraph examiner, but we don't polygraph until we don't believe the story. But this is believable, Mr. Ovid. You know, it takes a lot of discipline to maintain your sanity in a mad situation. We have one when it comes to the bail bonds issues. Josie, I'm going to come to you today. I'm going to ask you, that girl's out there with a nervous breakdown, what she went through. And it's a sincere thing. I'm asking you to get involved and personally handle that. The way your deputy slid me, told me he'd deal with her, have her call, and then all of a sudden he don't remember it now. Josie, this is a hot issue. I'm asking you to meet with us, Josie, and to meet with us and meet with that little girl and help her back. What she went through is catastrophic. Maybe you might want to be in on it, Mrs.
You need to address your comments to the whole board, not to a particular member.
We're trying to point somebody out. I can talk to Mr. Ovid. You guys don't. You're sitting up there texting. There's a law coming in about no texting and no laptopping during meetings, and I'm sure hoping that comes.
Come on now. Come on. There's no texting going on. Don't do that.
Well, how about all the computers?
No.
I don't know.
Sir,
I saw
finish
Ramos on his
your
phone
public
earlier.
comments.
I saw Ramos on his phone. Oh, she can engage me. Now I can't respond back. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we're not getting anywhere today. How can I use that kind, compassion, caring voice? At least I have your attention. Thank you, Mr. I can't even remember. I couldn't find my keys and they were in my hand today. Loving good. Yes, sir, I remember. Thank you for listening. What, Mr. Bassel, you're saying the courts are not involved in property bonds, but yet the sheriff, it's his obligation according to the law to tell people about them. And he don't even tell them. He hides them, sends you to the court, and they give you municipal court forms. So, Josie, what I'm going to do is try to dump that whole foster care thing on you. I have an idea. I know how we can get out of it. And we get in private session. We can bring in the girl. We can talk about what happened to her and stop that. That's all I want to do. I just want to stop. Wow. You know, I'm kind of backed in a corner here. And I've got some information. Some of it's a little startling. And but from what I've seen here, some of the things you guys do, probably not going to be surprising. Ovid, I understand you're leaving, Mr. Ovid. Are you leaving? Are you retiring? Beautiful. You really did a great job for a lot of years. I think it's a wonderful thing that you're leaving. I think there's just 2 small issues. On your way out the door, that $100 million from Colonies, you could take some of that change and throw it in the county change jar. I'd appreciate it. And then take your trash with you. I'd appreciate that, because this county has never been the same since you brought Mr. Devereaux aboard. I understand you might bring Kurt Hagman, the bail bondsman. Now, you guys all have a copy of my book. You know about how you post your real estate to the court. I just left the Rancho Courthouse. I saw this doctor in there, less than a half a gram of coke. He spent $140,000 already. These lawyers fleeced him. That's what these courts are, is a way to fleece these people. He could have posted his real estate to the court. I'll be opening up that business. Matter of fact, I tried to open it up across the street. You know who called me, Mr. Ramos? This little building, the glass building over here? Frank Patterson. You know the attorney that's suing you guys for the millions on that drug thing involving the tribe. He gives me a long conversation. And you know, I've tried to work with you and Mr. Lovingood on the foster care thing. Speaking of which, they just had this kid, he raped some child. They took him from Riverside, put him into the county foster care system. That's what we're doing to these foster care children. And then he rapes again.
Mr. Snell, if you're not ready, I can call the next speaker.
Well, I want to say good morning, but then you're going to start my clock. And I'm looking for my notes here. You know, that Caltrans has got it going on, man. I've been to hundreds of these meetings, and I swear to God, if half of them don't have Caltrans' name written all up and them tearing up the highways getting down the road, I don't know. Seems like a dirty conspiracy. I do, see, started my time. You guys are well-trained, man. And I don't really think you have any respect for First Amendment. None. You've made, and I want to apologize to Barbara Sokoloff. She probably went to get her hearing aid. Sweet lady, League of Women Voters. And she tells you guys, don't take our right to, after I ask questions and show that there's nothing in the back of the book about the questions I have, allow us not to get responses from your highly trained staff. You don't have all the answers. You can't wait to get out. I know I see you in the parking lot every time. You're racing out of here. Can't wait to get out of here. You brought Devereux. You got his contract twisted. You got the county charter twisted. I mean, you've got the children in foster care twisted. You have the whole government twisted. Joseph Smith would do spins in his grave. If he knew what I knew and saw what I saw, he'd spin in his grave. It's really sad what you're doing up there. These titty bars, you're going to regulate them. And for me, being raised in foster care, I know when I worked the doors at them, it's a portal. You raise these children in foster care, and the only portal you really have that left them in society, a lot of the girls and boys, are these titty bars. You're either a bouncer or you work in there. And then they took Asperia and they lowered that from 21 to 18. I had a hard time with it. I don't want to get rid of all the titty bars. I don't like lap dance. I think that's, you know, that's, to me, when you have contact with somebody in a titty bar, that's exploiting sexuality. So, I mean, we're headed in the same direction, but to close them all down, I can see regulating their pink building, but to close them all down, the children you've raised in foster care, that's their portal in life that you've developed for them, are the titty bars, because that's where a lot of them wind up to work, because you've abused them so terribly. Haven't done your mental health homework with them. And Mr. Lovingood and Ramos, you guys said you were going to call me. I'm still waiting. I'd appreciate a call on the foster care. Mr. Ramos? Mr. Ramos? Are you watching porn up there? What's going on, dude? I know you hear me, man. Come on. These guys, we come all the way down here in traffic, and you guys are going to sit there and watch porn on your, play games or whatever you're doing. At least give us some respect to, you know. I mean, we have to sit here and listen to you. You've twisted everything around, Mrs. Rutherford. You went to that, what do they call that? I did some homework on Rutherford. They're well known in England for the delicacy and tradition of these little Susie balls, and they suck on them after dinner. And that comes from the school of Pig Trough
That's
University, where I understand you were the queen at the Tortoise Impact. As an environmental activist that took on the LA Times for polluting the sand and gravel, using their sand and gravel industry, they dug till they hit the drinking water, then they mined in it. And that's underground San Gabriel Basin. If you drive by the 605, you'll see all those big pits. What the government has done is ratcheted up all these regulations. And unless you're a succumbent to a politician, getting through them is just, it's a bundle of cash. And it's crazy. That lawyer lady, well, I'll tell you what, I was just watch her walk away, and I said, wow, did she leave snakeskin up there? Because these lawyers, man, you guys bring in here like Nave Myers, someone that put me in the pen on phony charges. Go to my website, etsnell.com, and you'll see it. These lawyers you guys bring in here are absolutely, or even allow them in here, is just, the stench is beyond recognition. I have to, on this particular issue, I've got to side with the unions. definitely got to side with him. I think we need to fast track these. If a guy's got a record of doing stuff right, fast track him. Because the end income is that you're not going to have a bunch of iron workers out of work sitting at the bars drinking. And a lot of my friends, that's what they do, that are iron workers. And I have a lot of friends that I oppose on different issues, but I really can't see why we're not doing more of this. And why, and I can understand going to Oak Hills. I wouldn't want one in my backyard either. So I agree with Jay on a lot of things, but there's some things, you know, I wouldn't want some big field, like I'm out there in Apple Valley and see all those big fields driving down the road. Well, they're not near any houses. I don't have a hard time with it. But when they start putting them in beautiful places like Oak Hills, I got a serious issue with it. I don't think they belong in residential neighborhoods. Neither do brothels. But in this county, everything goes. So I'm going to have to put my support behind our unions on this one, and I think if we could learn how to fast track them, keep these guys working, Josie. You know, because you know, I know there's a lot of issues we actually agree upon. You guys in the nude bar this morning, you know, I think you brought in Nave Myers, man, I almost fell out. I'm going, oh my God, what are these bumps doing here? And when they did that phony restraining order, it was quite remarkable what they did. So I should tell you guys, don't pass it, and then you will. But I'm going to ask you guys to pass this, and hopefully you see the right direction and the right thing to go with. Would you tell Mr. Pauly to get with me on the phosphorus? It's a lot of money. See, that's what happens when you privatize something. You know what I mean? You get that privatizing, like the bail bondsman thrown out of federal court. Then you got Hagman coming in, oh, but you're good. Man, and then he sits on the insurance commission. Who regulates bail bonds? Insurance commission. You guys got more, and they wonder why I show up in a clown costume. Takes a lot of discipline to maintain your sanity in a mad situation. I didn't hear anything about poor people. We want poor people at these parks, right? Is that what we want, the poor people and their kids? So they're not sitting at home beating them because they can't afford the electricity, sitting in a hot house all day long? You know, is there any sliding scale? Are we doing anything for the poor people? How do they get in there? They don't have $235. Is there a day trip? I didn't hear anything about that. Could you get him to, she don't allow you guys to come back and respond to our questions. This is Mrs. Dictator. This is the sushi queen from Pig Trough University. I think she was also the prom queen over there. You guys just can't come in and privatize the whole county. I don't think it's good. You know, Joe Sashi, you listening, because a lot of poor people are affected by our parks, and they use the parks regularly. And I sure would hate to see them price it out of them, you know? I mean, that project you had that in Bloomington where they put in that library and all that, that was very commendable. I think that was an act in the right direction. But still, though, I see the children in foster care, and they're just like they passed over. The kennels, why aren't we aborting dogs? We abort humans. I never heard about no abortions for dogs. But who's the smart one here? You know, I mean, then these kids come in foster care, and that's so sad. That's so sad. That's just so sad, Mr. Lovingood. I know you got kids, you know, and they're going to turn out like me if they go to foster care. Could you please stick to the
item at hand? We're on Lake Gregory Regional Park. Address your comments to this.
Who's going to use Lake Gregory, Mrs. Dictator, while you're allowing me to speak on the subject? Or are you going to tell you what I'm thinking next time? I'm talking about Lake. I'm talking about children. Is foster care involved in Lake Gregory? Are you giving them free passes? Are you doing anything for the foster care children? Can we get an answer? Are you going to
address your comments?
See, you've got everything set up the way you want to. You won't even allow these guys to respond to our questions and answers when we have one, like Mr. Ramos on the casino about paying bribes to the sheriffs. I went up there the other day and they said they pay 7 sheriffs and there was only none there, and there never is none. Those are bribes, Mr. Ramos. And what they've done to the tribe, because they came from poverty, is manipulate them, and that's what they're doing in this.
Can you stay to the issue on the agenda, please?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Though no board member...
I still got 23 seconds. Allow me to get back on the agenda, please.
Have
You
comments
can't
on
wait.
Lake Gregory, you're welcome to.
You can't wait, man. Baiting with you is like, you know, that University of Political Science is just so hard to get out of you. It's not a Christian one, I know that. Thank you.